Welcome to Beyond the Wall. This is my life story before, during, and after 20 plus years of incarceration. I've been home now over 3 months, and I'm just getting adjusted back into life, into the everyday routine of having responsibilities, going to work. I've been attending all my therapy classes. I go to one every single week and two bi-weekly. I have a group session, MRT, then I have a one-on-one session with my therapist, Tiffany, once every other week. The last session I had with her was over Zoom because I've been sick for a couple of weeks. CDC said I had to quarantine for 10 days. So I haven't been out of the house too much in the last couple of weeks. Coming home, you'd think if you were stuck in the house that you would start climbing the wall or having what they call cabin fever. But the few days that I was at home, sitting in my sitting in my room, my bedroom, it was kind of scary for me because of how comfortable I was being isolated from the rest of the world. And it was almost something that I needed because, there's so much stuff going on out here. There's not enough time in the day to get the things that you need to do done. And I'm always running here, running there, doing this and doing that. So the few days that I was able to just be in my room because I was sick, it was comforting. And I enjoyed it. Well, a lot of people can't just sit in their room isolated, from everything. But for me, it was needed downtime. And the part where I say it was scary because it's not normal to just be so comfortable being in a cell, in a room. And when I say being in my room this whole time, I was literally in my room. The only time I left was to get something from the fridge to eat or to use the restroom. But other than that, I just stayed in bed and I enjoyed it. Through my therapy session, we're discussing the psychological effect of the traumas that you've had in your life and learn how to recognize it. I'm not saying I recognize anything at all because I don't know how to evaluate myself, but I'm at a point where I acknowledge that there's things that's transpired through the course of my life that without a doubt plays a role in the way I perceive the world, the way that I justify my actions, the way that I am able to commit certain things, do certain things that are considered abnormal to people that are not sociopath or psychopath. People that know me, they know I've been active. I was active on the streets before I got locked up. I was active while I was doing my time in the penitentiary. But people don't understand. I really don't understand, but just coming through these courses of these sessions and stuff, I'm getting a better grasp on my mentality, on my makeup. Everybody has a different breaking point. Certain things affect people differently. And I don't think there's any one of us that are prepared to go to prison or that is made for prison, because prison is an abnormal environment for a human being. You know, our natural instinct is to roam, to be curious, to move about. But in prison, you're confined. You're confined to a cell. You're confined in a box. Yeah, there's a yard that you can go and walk around in circles. But when you're faced with the reality, that's the limit. That's the limit of your reality, that you can't go further than this box. You can't go further than this gate. You can't go further than this wall. Through the course of time, decades, or even a few years, that can make you go crazy. And a lot of people that I've been in prison with has gone crazy. And some of them got to the point where they couldn't do it anymore. I had a friend in Lompoc. You know, his situation was fucked up. He had like a 10, 15-year sentence, but he had an immigration hold. And at this time that I met him, he was already in there over a decade. He was an older guy, Vietnamese. He couldn't speak English that well. And from the few conversation that I was able to have with him, you know, our conversation wasn't fluid because I'm Cambodian. I don't speak Vietnamese, and he doesn't really speak English. So you can imagine the difficulty that we had trying to communicate. But the gist of our conversation was he didn't have anybody. He had 2 daughters and a wife on the street, but they already cut him loose because they didn't agree with the lifestyle that he lived. So he was no longer in communication with him. He had an immigration hold. He didn't want to go back to Vietnam. And he didn't know how to fight his case because he doesn't know the language. So you have all these things piled up on him. And I can't even imagine what is going through his head. But one day, in Lompoc, it's 3 tiers. You know, after the incident happened, the homies came out and told us about it that was in that unit with him. You know, we had like 3 homies that were playing pinochle on the table at the bottom floor. And they looked up and they seen the Vietnamese guy sitting on top of the railing on the 3rd floor. But they're not thinking any of it. They're not thinking anything about it. You know, they're just playing cards. But they see him on the 3rd floor rocking back and forth. Rocking back and forth. And then he just leaned forward and dove off the 3rd floor. They said they were playing cards and he landed right beside him. Boom, head first. Time seemed to stop for a split second. Then a pool of blood just seeped around him. We know that there's people that take their own lives in a penitentiary. You know, there's 1,000 ways to kill yourself. You either commit suicide, cut your wrist, jump off the tier, hang yourself, or you go get some drugs and OD yourself, or you keep getting yourself in confrontation and get yourself killed. But it's like, for me, it's hard. It's not hard for me to understand, but at the same time, it is, because I've always been in the mentality that I'm not going to let this situation break me. I'm not going to let my environment tear me down. But where I say I understand is because I had a moment in time where I felt that hopelessness that these individuals that do these things to themselves felt. You know, when I was in Victorville, 2005, 2004, I had my case in court. I filed my direct appeal, you know, under ineffective assistance of counsel because the lawyer that represented me botched my case. And he even admitted in writing that he screwed my case from point A to point B to Z. Every step of the way, he fucked up my case.
Is it a label?
Every step of the way, he fucked my case up. And so we filed an appeal. And under ineffective assistance of counsel, you had to meet 5 criteria. And my attorney, Deirdre Gorman, felt that we met all 5 of those criteria. But the system is set up for you to never win because you're appealing your case back to the same judge that oversaw your trial, back to the same judge that sentenced you. And for some reason, my judge, Tina Campbell, had like a personal beef towards me. And I'm not just saying that because that's what everybody says and think. I mean, and when you read my trial transcript, when you read my sentencing transcript, every step of the way, she always had something extra to say about me, about who I am, about what she think of me. You know, a judge is supposed to be the mediator. They're supposed to make sure that the defendant and the prosecutor all play by the rules. They all argue their case, and then she makes a ruling who presented the best argument. But in my situation, it always seemed that even though I have case law after case law after case law in my favor, she wasn't going to allow me to win. And her excuse every time not to let me in court was to deny me under procedure, saying that I filed my appeal, my 2255, my 2241 untimely. You know, untimely just means that I guess I didn't do it in time, but how can I not do it in time if I'm going through all my steps? But when she denies it under procedure, she's avoiding reviewing my case because the appellate court is not going to oversee her, is not going to look through her decision until I'm able to present my case in court. But when she denied me under procedure because it's untimely, I never get that opportunity. She careered me. I pled guilty to 14 months for the assault on the officer. But when I got sentenced, I got 96 months because she said I was a career criminal. Well, I'm not a career criminal. I never was. I'm still not. But I never got one day back. Every time I filed my appeal, she denied it. She denied it. So going back to this moment in time, in 2004, I had talked to my attorney, Deirdre Gorman, and she was optimistic because the prosecutor already told her they didn't want to retry my case because the rat's gone. The prosecutors in my case, they've been elevated to a judge. The other prosecutor was in Iraq, you know, doing whatever he was doing in Iraq. So it was just going to be a lot of money and a lot of trouble for them to bring everybody back and go through the whole situation again. So the prosecutor was presenting a deal to my attorney for anywhere between 12 to 15 years for everything. And at this time, I already been sentenced to 26 years. So when I had the opportunity to, if I had the opportunity to cut my time in half, I was going to accept the deal. But all they were waiting on was for my judge to set an evidentiary hearing. So we're locked down because we laid down, we bucked, you know, Victorville was fucked up. So we all came together and shut the prison down. We all refused the program and just stayed in our cell. So we self-imposed a lockdown. So I'm locked down in my cell by myself, and I get this letter. I'm hopeful. This is the letter we've been waiting on for 6 months. And I open the letter, and I don't even read the opinion of the court or nothing. I scroll right down to the bottom because they're either going to say granted or denied. And right there in bold letters, it said denied. You know, that moment in time, I felt all the air leave my body because I've only been in down like 6 years up to this point. And what kept me going was the hope that I would find relief in court. Because in my young mind, I wasn't yet able to comprehend spending 26 years in prison. So every time I have a case in court, whether it take 2 years to go through, it gave me hope. It just gave me like maybe, you know, something to hold on to. Because when you're in there, you gotta have hope. No matter how slim it is, hope keeps you alive. You know, but when I went back and read her decision, like I said, all the air went out of me. And for that brief moment, I felt the despair. I felt the hopelessness. And if there's people that's been in that situation, maybe you can relate. You know, whatever reason that those emotions came to surface, you can relate. When I say it's a dark feeling that everything just went black, that's what I'm saying. Like, you couldn't see that there was life. You couldn't see any reason to continue in your situation. But I didn't, but for me, I'm grateful that I didn't dwell in it, because as soon as that emotion came, I had to replace it. And I replaced it with anger. I replaced it with hatred. And those are negative emotions. But for me, my anger and my hatred empowered me. It kept me alive. It made me determined to make it through the time that I still had to do. And it took me from being a person that just might not be so quick to blow things up into a person that was more aggressive and more reckless, because I'm fueled by this hatred and this anger. You get a point in time, you don't know, everybody has a breaking point. And everybody has different coping mechanism. For the people that's incarcerated, for the people that have family members that are incarcerated, you have to understand that when these individuals wake up every day, they're waking up to the same scene, the same situation, a 4x4 cell. And if they're facing a lot of time, no matter how optimistic they are, no matter how outgoing they are, this stuff wears down on you. And it takes a toll on your mental state. But to help them cope through the time, you have to give them a way to release their anger, their hatred, their tension, their stress. And the things that helped me a lot through the course of my time was able to read books. Not the ones that they have in the library in the prison, because those books, for a lack of a better word, are designed to dummy you down. But I was fortunate enough that I had my friend Deirdre, that was my attorney, And then later on through the course of my time, my wife, that if I wanted to read a book, they would find it for me and send it to me. Or if they came across a book that was interesting, they would send it to me. And those things help because for that period in time while you're reading, it doesn't matter if you're in your living room here at home or at a park sitting under a tree or in your cell, you're immersed in that story. And it helps you take you away from your own reality. You know, one of the books that was sent to me that I really value was this book right here. It's called The Fourth Agreement. The Four Agreement, not fourth. I'm a fob still. But The Four Agreement. It's a short book, but it helps you to kind of understand how to look at things, how to perceive things. You know, this is, it comes from an old tribe down in South America called the Toltec. I'm not sure, but it's a lost language, but it's profound wisdom. But it's not something that you can't comprehend because basically it's common sense. But it's just put into something. When I read it, it was like, just tell me the things that I've already thought about, that I already felt, but I'm not able to articulate it and write it down and define it. You know, the four agreements are, the first one is be impeccable with your words. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the words to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Once you hear it, it's like simple and it's common sense, but we don't understand like the power of our words. You know, they have scientific research that if you have two plants that you're growing, and if you wake up every morning and tell one plant, oh, you suck, you're ugly, you use these negative things, these vibration towards this plant, no matter how much water or how much nutrients you have in the soil or how much sunlight you have in that plant, you're going to see that plant is going to start to dwindle. As to oppose your second plant, if you wake up and you always tell them, hey, I love you, you're beautiful, you have such beautiful leaves, and you're giving it positive energy, you can almost deprive that plant of water and sunlight. But just your word and the vibration of that positive energy is going to help that plant nourish. Like when a baby is born, if you leave a baby in its cradle, you never hold it, you never speak to it, you never show it love, even though you feed it and clean its diaper, that baby's going to die and waste away because it's not receiving that positive energy, that love. You know, this is not just me speaking just out of, my butt. These are research that's been established through the course of our time that shows you that there's power in words. You know, the second agreement is don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you're immune to the opinions and action of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. I'm not sure how to explain how I perceive this or how I interpret this, but there's a age-old saying is like, when you point the finger at someone, there's three other fingers that's pointing back at you. When you go into a relationship, when you go into a business deal, if you think that your spouse is going to be out there running around, cheating on you, and doing other grimy stuff, even though they haven't. Your insecurity is because you know you have it within you to cheat or to be grimy. So when you're guilty of something, you're easily quick to assume that somebody else can be guilty of that too. You know. So if you're the person that's being accused of something that you haven't done, you have to understand that this is that other person's insecurity. If they don't think you're trustworthy, it's because they themselves don't feel that they're trustworthy. So they're going to assume that everybody else around them is not trustworthy. So I had to learn not to take anything. I don't know if I really practiced this stuff in my life, but when I read this book and it was explained to me, it helped me have a better understanding of everything around me. Now, the third one is don't make assumptions. That's simple, right? But yet, we're all guilty of making an assumption, of assuming, you know. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstanding, sadness, and drama. With just the one agreement, you can completely transform your life. You know, how many times in a relationship or any aspect of our life, we just assume that the other person knows what we're thinking. You know, I told my wife, you know, when we got together, like, I've never been in a relationship like this before. You know, the longest relationship I've ever had with a woman was a couple months, because somehow I always find myself getting locked up, and then the relationship just deteriorate from there because I'm not there. So, but I love my wife and I want it to work. And the only thing that I've seen of relationship was what I saw on those romantic comedies, magazine, and there's always drama and chaos that's going on between the couples. So I've asked my wife, I was like, listen, if there's an issue, whatever is on your mind, please express it. Please talk to me, because I don't know what you're thinking. And I'm not going to I haven't been in a relationship with anyone to be able to pick up all the subtle signs. But a lot of times when we're feeling some type of way, we're just like looking at the other person and trying to project, you know, our thoughts telepathically. And then we get upset that the other person is not picking it up, you know, and then it just builds and builds and builds until it blows up, until now you're in an argument and now the relationship is deteriorating. That's why I've always been, even in prison, not just a relationship between my wife or anybody, in prison in the same way. Speak your mind, make it as clear as possible so it leaves no room for misunderstanding. You know, don't be afraid that the truth, that the things you have to say, the questions you have is gonna offend the other person. Because if he takes offense to you being honest, then that's his own insecurity. But for yourself, you always have to try to be clear with what you're doing, with what you're saying, so that there's no room for assumption. You know, you always heard the saying, don't assume. It makes an ass. If you assume stuff, it makes an ass of you and me. And they're just it's the same thing. They're just saying the same thing, but in a way where it can relate and you can understand it. The fourth agreement is always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. You know, what they're saying is, if I had 8 hours of sleep, if I woke up, ate a healthy breakfast, stretched out, and in a good mindset, I'll go out and run a mile, and I might be able to run it within 6 minutes. You know, as opposed to another day, if I'm just coming home from work and I'm tired, but I still feel like I need to go work out and, you know, and do my regular routine, I'll go out there and run a mile, but it might take me 8 minutes. But I'm not supposed to be down on myself because I ran an 8-minute mile. As long as that through the course of each lap, I put in all my best effort to do it. But my situation aren't the same every time. All they're trying to say is that no matter what you're doing in life, whether you're a mother, whether you're a father, employee, employer, put your best foot forward. You know, and this is part of the brand that I'm trying to push, BMA, Baddest Man Alive. You know, the concept behind that is being your best self. No matter what aspect of life you're in, it's just trying to do your best, the best way you know how. And if the things that you're doing ain't enough, then go and get the skills, go and get the knowledge, go learn the patience, or whatever it takes for you to evolve. You know, that's the state of mind that I'm in, because I'm so far from the person that my wife thinks I am. But every day, I'm willing to work towards that, because she sees something in me that I'm not able to see in myself. But just for having the confidence that I can be this person, or that I am this person, helps inspire me and motivate me to work towards that. So that one day, eventually, hopefully sooner than later, I'll become that person that she adores. You know, just, we have to continue to work on ourselves, no matter our situation, and not allow things to break us. I understand that it's harder said than done, but you're here now. You're not in the ground. So just being present tells me that you're capable. And there's no measurement of success. Some people can leap and other people have to take baby steps. But as long as we're continually working to move forward, there's nothing else that can be asked of us. And that's already in itself a success. Thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Wall. See you guys next time.